What are 4 topics that you should avoid bringing up with a seller and talking about in a first meeting? Inevitably, in the process of buying a practice, you're going to see information on a computer screen that interests you. You're going to see numbers, you're going to see a practice, you're going to see a profile, a price. There's going to be something from the comfort of your laptop that you're going to see and get excited about. Inevitably, there are going to be questions that you have about this practice. No practice is perfect. You shouldn't expect it to be. It's very natural that you're going to have questions about a practice you're considering buying. As part of the process, you're going to reach out to and talk with a seller in person. You may show up at the practice to get a feel, kind of walk around, see the operatories, have a conversation with the seller. And I have seen time and time again, buyers screw up this process by bringing up topics that just don't fit during a first meeting. I have 4 of them that I want you to avoid, and we're going to talk through each of them. Topic number 1 to avoid are highly specific questions about financial statements. I had a buyer tell me one time as he was walking through operatories with the dentist, and they were pointing out hand pieces and looking at the cabinets and things, buyer turned to the seller and said, "So I was looking at your 2018 tax return. I had a question about line 18. I'm sorry, what? First of all, the seller probably has no idea what's in their tax return. Second of all, those specific questions really have no place in the first meeting with a dentist. The reason for that isn't that you're not entitled to an answer. The reason that this question is inappropriate isn't because there might be something hidden in there. It's unlikely that in a tax return there's hidden information that's going to help you make a decision. The reason highly specific financial questions are inappropriate during a first meeting is that you're missing the point of the first meeting. The point of a first meeting with a seller is simply to establish a relationship, impress the seller that you're the right buyer, and get a feel for some of the intangibles in the office, like culture and what patients say about the office. The second topic that is off the table, not appropriate in a first meeting with a seller, is anything about the price. Chances are very good that if you are looking at an office, it's for sale and it has a sticker price. The very fact that you have shown up to look at the office means that on some level, you're at least open to the idea of paying the sticker price for the practice. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you that you have to pay the sticker price for the practice. I'm not telling you that you can't negotiate. I am telling you that the first meeting with a seller isn't the time to negotiate the price. While it's theoretically possible that you know for certain that you can't pay the sticker price for the practice, my advice to you is don't schedule the meeting in person with the seller. Bring it up beforehand and give the seller a chance to let you know whether or not this is an option. If it is an option, then go ahead and schedule that first meeting and stick to topics that are appropriate for a first meeting. Things that are going to help you build that relationship, things that are going to help you understand the intangibles of the office and what patients say about the practice. But this first meeting is not the time to bring up price negotiations. The third topic is a continuation of number 2, I'll admit, but it's really anything to do with negotiations. The seller may ask you questions about whether or not you're comfortable with the price, the timing, whether or not you can afford to buy the building, whether or not they can take the Panorex out of this operatory over here and move it to wherever they're going next. It's very natural for the seller to have their own list of questions that they may talk about with you. Again, what is the goal of the first meeting? The goal of the first meeting is simply to create that relationship and establish yourself as the best buyer for the office. It is appropriate to indicate to the seller that you're open to, you're definitely considering, you are likely maybe even to consider some of the things that they're asking you about or that you have questions about related to negotiations. Again, we talked about price. There are a number of other things you can negotiate. Asset allocation, whether or not you buy the real estate, whether or not you can expand this office, whether or not you can buy these patient charts for a dentist down the street. All of these things are absolutely relevant, just not yet. The fourth topic I want you to avoid in a first meeting with a seller is anything that's going to come up later in due diligence. Now, how do you know what to bring up in a first meeting and what's going to come up later? Well, that's why you're watching this video. In the first meeting, remember, your goal is to establish a relationship, make yourself the buyer they're excited to get an offer from. Try to understand the look and the feel of the office, what patients say, how long staff's been around, some of those things. If buying a dental practice is anything like buying a car, you are going to get a chance to look under the hood of the practice. This first meeting, though, is just a walk around the car. You're just seeing if this is a practice that you'd be interested in. You're establishing a relationship, and you're trying to take the next step in the process. Yes, you're going to look in detail under the hood. Not only you, your dental accountant is going to help you look through the numbers in detail. The bank you choose is going to go through a rigorous due diligence process with the IRS, with lien searches. They're going to search for lawsuits. They're going to ask all kinds of very highly specific, detailed questions. All of that, though, comes later in the process. Right now just isn't the time to get into highly specific due diligence questions. Just not yet. Just remember that the purpose of this first meeting isn't to get into the detailed due diligence questions, and you're probably going to be okay. If you're looking at a practice where there's an issue that you're concerned about, you see something that concerns you that you think you may want to ask, and you're not sure if the first meeting is the right time to bring that up, reach out. I'm a resource for you. I'd be happy to chat. You can find my contact information and how to get in touch with me at dentalbuyeradvocates.com. My email, calendar, and phone are there for you to reach out anytime.